For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from BitcoinBens Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here. Good morning and welcome to Bitcoin Thursdays with Dr. J. I'm Dr. J and I'm just delighted to be here today. You saw our new ad for the bank. It's very exciting indeed. There are just fantastic things happening in the world of Bitcoin. You all who have been Bitcoin enthusiasts and hodlers for a long time are obviously very happy. Bitcoin has made another big candle up and it will continue to do so. But, I wanted to focus today on why Bitcoin matters far more than you think. Because it's not just about the price points and the movements, and it's not just about the technology and how amazing things can be done. It's really about ourselves. I've been up since 5 a.m. today. I've been thinking about this. And I wanted to share with you. There are wonderful things we're doing. We have new clubs opening. The bank is on a roll. We have a new resort coming. We have new locations opening up. Las Vegas is going to open on the 2nd of August. Real exciting time for the BitcoinBens Crypto Club. Our team is amazing. Our members, each one of you is amazing. We're getting calls by the hundreds every day. We are deploying new mining rigs. We are giving out more loans, and we're thriving. And it's because of you. It's because of the community that we have built. It's because of the exciting people and ideas and thoughts that you bring. And in many ways, Bitcoin and the BitcoinBens Crypto Club is redefining itself. And in many ways, Bitcoin will redefine society and life as we know it. So enough of the rah-rah stuff. I really wanted to get a little deeper today. So I'm wearing my thinking hat, storytelling hat, because this is not just a show about what's happening in the news and regurgitating, where the head and shoulders patterns are forming or what Trump is doing. This is really about each one of us as BitcoinBens Crypto Club members starting to think about what does Bitcoin really mean? What does it signify? Why is it deeper? Why is it much more important than actually you and I think today? What is the matrix? Morpheus asked that question, right? It is not a machine. In my view, it's a lie. It's a system of illusions that distort time, bends your perception of cause and consequence. And it hides beneath that passage of years. The matrix that we are looking at is really the fiat system, what we call fiat. It's a simulation of value. It's not real value. It's a simulation of value. It's a way that digital pharaohs keep people enslaved, not with whips and chains, but with compound interest. In Exodus, the pharaohs control time, make bricks without straw. In today's Babylon, which is the central banks, they do the same. You work more, you save less, your retirement age keeps getting pushed back, and you're told, trust the almighty dollar. But Bitcoin is Exodus, not just the wallet. Bitcoin is Moses with the SHA 256 tablet in his hand. So here we are, living in a society where digital money is taking over. Artificial intelligence is permeating in almost every facet of our life. Gene editing is real. Virtual nations and cities, Bitcoin cities, are forming. Technological acceleration is occurring. And frankly, moral entropy is taking hold. And in the center of all this is what? It's Bitcoin. It's a protocol, it's a promise, and it's a provocation. You know, not since Prometheus stole that fire from the gods and the heavens has mankind held anything so dangerous, so beautiful, and so divine. Bitcoin is not just money. You see, any one of you who is a member of the Bitcoin Ben Club thinks that Bitcoin is just money, you're wrong. It's time, it's energy, it's truth, it's freedom. It is not just a get-rich scheme. It is how to get free scheme. It's how to get free scheme. If you look at your society around you, if the value is shifting, if society is reshaping, if the very concept of truth is up for sale, look at the news. You know exactly what it means to say truth is up for sale. Well, in that world that we are immersed in right now, is it not comforting to know, hell, even exhilarating to know, that there exists a network, a ledger, a beacon that no king can corrupt, no AI can fake, and no war can erase? That, ladies and gentlemen, is why Bitcoin matters far more than you think. You see, in the beginning, there was no money, only need. One man had wheat, the other guy had obsidian. One hunted, the other foraged. Trade emerged not from greed, but from interdependence of the two forces. But as tribes grew and borders became common and paths entangled, trust became the currency. See, grain was counted, shells were weighed, salt was traded as gold. It's trust. Actually, interestingly enough, the Roman word salarium, from which we today derive the word salary, comes from salt that was paid to soldiers to preserve food. And what else? To preserve power through preservation. Now, there's a theme that you all know about. We've been talking about the Home to Hodl program. Preservation of wealth, power, preservation go together. If you can preserve the value, you have power. And so, of course, then came the coins stamped with the emperor's head, of gods, lions, and hell, we even have dead presidents on our coins and our stamps, right? It was a signal not just of wealth, but of rule. You see, money has always been about power and who controls the ledger. From Mesopotamia to Medici, from the Rothschilds to today's Wall Street as we know it, money has evolved lockstep with civilization. What began as a means of trade has become a measure of control. And eventually, as John Maynard Keynes would put it, is a tool of the state. Money is a tool of the state. And of course, with the fall of the gold standard, money got totally unhooked from any tangible value. And as Voltaire said, paper-backed violence is what money is today. Governments learned that they could print whatever they didn't have, and they could spend into existence the illusion of prosperity. And guys like on the Russia and communist countries, they had great minds like Lenin, who was an astute manipulator of human systems. He basically said the best way to destroy the capitalist economy is to debauchery of its currency. And so they did. Our currency isn't debauchery. We call it fiat. Fiat is a decree. The central bank simply whispers into the ledger, and the reality starts to readjust. Suddenly, inflation is low. Suddenly, the price of eggs is gone. But behind this inflation, behind this so-called quantitative easing and debt monetization and rebalancing, lies a much deeper truth. And guys, this is why I'm telling you, Bitcoin is far more important than you actually think right now. Start thinking deeper about it. Here's the deeper truth. The state does not trust people with value. It demands that you store your value in their system under their watchful eye. That is what it's about. See, you're not allowed to store your own gold. You're not allowed to store your own money. You got to store it in the bank under their watchful eye. See, this is where the catch is. The rich don't just get richer, they get richer faster. The poor remain tied to slow money, the banks, the checks, the remittances, and the little bit eaten out of every transaction that you do, while the wealthy play with flash trades, leverage derivatives, offshore havens. There's a fellow called Thomas Piketty in that Capital in the 21st Century movie offered a chilling formula. He said, R is greater than G. As simple as that. R stood for return on capital, and G stood for growth of economy. As long as your return of capital is greater than the growth of economy, you're rich. Rich don't need to work to get richer. Wealth begets wealth. The rest of us, we just chase a mirage. We become poor. You see, as long as R is greater than G, your wealth works for you. So the divide deepened over the last several centuries, not just in wealth, but in time. The rich lived in the future. The poor lived in the past. And now Bitcoin creates an inversion. You see, we can use the same formula, R is greater than G, because Bitcoin is appreciating. The greatest transfer of wealth can happen right now to the poor, to the average person, simply by using their own formula. Bitcoin creates inversion. For centuries, money has flowed one way. Now it's time for those who get on the Bitcoin train. They will be the rich ones, and the ones who don't will become poor. This is not a prediction. It's a statement of fact. See, Michael Saylor once said, with the precision of a philosopher, he actually looks like that. He's got that white beard going now, right? Plato-ish looking. He's become the statesman. I like it. I like his demeanor. He's been the champion of Bitcoin. He's got the precision of a philosopher, the intensity of a prophet. And he said, those who use fiat as a store of value, we call them poor. Heck, he's not wrong. He even got a song about it. I was in El Salvador, and my friend Salvador I was with him in his car, and he starts playing the song, and now it has become my favorite song. So you're going to have to listen to it. It's right here on my phone. I'm going to play it right here, Zoltan. Is that okay?
That use fiat currency, we call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. People that use fiat currency as a store of value, we call them poor. We call them poor.
So I just thought this was the funniest song ever. And I was laughing my head off in the car driving through the mountains of El Salvador with Michael Saylor's words being converted into a rap song. Man, now I have seen everything. But I had to share this with you. I heard it. It stuck in my head. You have to hear it. And that's just how it is. Well, so let's get back to thinking why Bitcoin is so much more important, why it matters so much more than you and I think today, sitting in 2025. Over the next 50 years, there's going to be amazing changes. But what is money? Truly, what is money? So I did a little deep dive and I started looking at what some of the greatest minds in different parts of human evolution have said about it. A fella called Adam Smith, which you all know, called money the store of labor. So that's what, whole economy, the economics was based on, store of labor. Labor is what money is. Karl Marx, typical communist, called it a tool of alienation. Mises, result of human action. And my favorite fella, Richard Feynman, who was actually, I read his books when I was doing my PhD in physics, would say that money is a system for encoding effort, entropy, and energy. I think Richard Feynman's definition was far, far more, because there's a triad of people: Tesla, Satoshi, and Saylor, right? I'm going to do a separate show on a deep dive on these three. I call them the triad. It starts with Tesla talking about energy, about how everything in the world is energy and vibration. And then you look at Nakamoto, Satoshi's paper, and it really is about energy and vibration, what he's talking about, peer-to-peer. And then you have Michael Saylor, who talks about entropy. He compares Bitcoin to thermodynamic variables. Well, the truth is that no matter how you define money, it mirrors the society's values. That's what it comes down to. Money mirrors the society's values. And when that trust collapses in society, so does the currency. And this is exactly where we are right now. We don't have trust in our government. We don't have trust in our legal system. We don't have trust that the AI systems won't overrun us and kill us. We don't have trust in what even the ChatGPT answers that we receive. We certainly don't have trust in the media and the megaphones that they push into our ears all day long. We don't have trust in the ads that we see on the roadside. And we don't even have trust in the family. This is what is broken. This is why the currency is broken. See, remember the old days? The entire economy was based on a currency, which was trust. And if you think Satoshi suddenly showed up and invented Bitcoin and the system of a shared ledger, oh, you're so wrong. Do a deep dive. You'll find. In the ancient days, there were stones, common stones in the yep, that were allocated to each person in a society. They stayed in, these were very big, large stones, and each person had one or more. It was a shared ledger of stones that couldn't be moved. And when somebody passed away, their son got it. They were distributed, multi-sig wallets in old England, when they would keep track of the borrowers and the lenders by splitting a piece of wood into two parts, because only those two parts, you could match the grains exactly. And one part would be given to the borrower, one to the lender, because you couldn't duplicate it. So these ideas that came in 2008 and 2009 go back hundreds of years. The idea of a common ledger, the idea of matching work are not uncommon. So I have started to believe that as I start looking at Bitcoin, we are dwelling in a chess game which is deeper than we are understanding. See, Newton gave us gravity, but Gödel, the mathematician, taught us that even in logic, there is incompleteness. Any truth might be incomplete. So you start to question and ask, in such a universe, does destiny get written? Is it pre-programmed? Or are we writing it as we speak? See, I think we are writing our own destiny as we speak. And it's really fascinating. And I know I'm going to go off into probably a very rarefied air of academia called neotics, which is how the human brain and consciousness and the thoughts we think actually manifest reality, right? So I'll get into that in just a minute. But I'm telling you right now, our destiny is being written by us. The more of us who are thinking of Bitcoin, the more of us that are using Bitcoin, even if you don't have a wallet, if you think about, I need to do about something with Bitcoin, Bitcoin is going to thrive. See, it's our energy that is being harnessed through forces, electromagnetic forces, forces of the thought wave, that is going to make Bitcoin even more real than you think it is. See, Bitcoin is the first system that is escaping time. What does that mean? It means that a transaction today on the blockchain is as true as the one that was done almost a decade ago. You see, in a world where truth bends daily, immutability is radical. It's not just a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against lies. You see, what gets written into the blockchain, you can't remove it. See, it's always been said that the history is written by the victors. Well, not in the blockchain world. Once the history is written in, there's nothing you can do to reverse the damn thing. We're getting immutable ledgers. This is the first time truth and only truth will be recorded. And now, of course, we meet our new guest at the table, AI, right? Alan Turing, Turing's machine, he built a machine that could think. Von Neumann saw it as a machine that integrates into economics. AI will become the economics. Ray Kurzweil, warns of this moment in time called singularity. In fact, there's a singularity university in San Jose, a point where AI essentially outthinks man in the generalized AI, right? AI doesn't sleep and it doesn't eat and doesn't unionize and it just respects no borders. It needs no bribes. And so when you start to say that our society is going to become this hybrid with AI workers and human workers, AI is probably going to take a pretty big chunk of it. What kind of money is AI going to use? It's not going to accept fiat, this bloated human currency. It's not going to barter some carbon credits with that Christiane Lagarde in Europe. AI is going to want something that cannot be denied, immutable, global, apolitical. It's Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no master, and therefore AI will choose it. You see, but also with that comes a paradox. And I told you I'd take you down a rabbit hole today because I went down the rabbit hole this morning, so you have to. Here's the paradox. As AI and our tools grow smarter, what happens? We grow softer. Our brains don't work as well. We are outsourcing our brain. The hand that is calloused by labor is now just swiping little computer screens. The mind that has been honed by struggle is now outnumbered by dopamine loops. We are becoming the LOI, as H.G. Wells warned, elegant, idle, irrelevant, while our own Morlocks, the AI, mine beneath the surface. So humans as a society are becoming weak, think less, work less. The AIs are rising. And I think the only resistance you're going to see to that will be offered by Bitcoin, because it requires discipline to hold. It requires knowledge to use, and it demands sovereignty. And in doing so, I think Bitcoin is what will revive the human spirit. This is why it matters a whole lot more than the balance in your wallet, than the fact that you can send Bitcoin anywhere to anyone, anytime, across the borders, or that you don't have to pay a tax on it. It matters because it revives your spirit. It revives your belief in truth, immutability. So I started thinking about the human spirit itself, and I came across some revelations that were fascinating to me. And perhaps some of you who have been to Washington, D.C. observed it. I did not. I've been to D.C. a couple of times, and I've been to the U.S. Capitol building, the Rotunda, this beautiful, beautiful building, right in the heart of Washington, D.C. If you look up at the Rotunda, the Capitol Rotunda, which I never did. When I walked through there, I never looked up at the ceiling. The ceiling has this incredible fresco, this painting, like 500 feet big, giant painting. And I learned it's a painting of George Washington. And more specifically, it's a painting of George Washington who is transforming into a god. It's called apotheosis. Apotheosis means the conversion of man into God. And there's a painting that was done by a fellow called Constantino Brumidi in about 1865, just as the Civil War was ending and the grand fresco, Washington was ascending to the heavens, flanked. The picture is flanked by goddesses rising into divine light, the transformation of man into God. Oh, what the hell has that got to do with Bitcoin? Well, I found it fascinating that as a human being, we have been forged through war, ideals, rebellion. That is what makes us divine. That human struggle is what makes us divine. We don't become divine by lineage or by papal appointments, but by action, through merit, through sacrifice. Isn't that what Bitcoin is about? You have to work to make that coin. There's energy, there's entropy. Washington didn't just take the crown, he relinquished power. And in doing so, he became more powerful than any king could ever hope. See, God does not choose the ruler, people do. Bitcoin and the divine path of man. Ask yourselves, what does it mean for us today to become more than we are? In this 21st century, apotheosis, the rise from human being to God, is not a religious thing. It's technological. It's economic. It's the spirit. Not as gold. Bitcoin is not the gold. It's a bridge. It's a bridge between enslavement and slavery. The transformation of man to his divine potential. When you hold your own private keys, you're holding your future. You are rejecting inflation. You are rejecting theft. You are rejecting lies. When you transact without permission, and I send $10 to Zoltan without any PayPal, without any intermediary, without a bank taking my check and processing fees, what are you saying? You're saying, I am sovereign. I am free. Those are godlike qualities. That's what Washington in that damn Rotunda building is talking about. It's about sovereignty. It's not Bitcoin that makes you God. That's the folly of the tyrants. Rather, what it does is it strips away the false gods, the central banks, the corrupt rulers, the counterfeits in suits. That is why Bitcoin is so much more important than you think. Let's cut to a quick ad, Zoltan, and we'll be right back after these messages. For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from BitcoinBens Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here. And we're back. Okay. Why does Bitcoin go to the moon? Ben always talks about it, right? Ben is the guy on all his AI. He goes, Bitcoin's going to the moon. I love his phrase. And usually it means price action. You know, it's got the rocket emojis. But what does it really mean when Ben says Bitcoin's going to the moon? See, time, it ties back to time. And time, once fluid in fiat, becomes anchored in Bitcoin. You see, it can be rewritten. And in doing so, it sort of bends what I'll call the notion of temporal uncertainty, right? In fiat system, time is political. Inflation dilutes the past, bailouts can be done, history can be, revised. But in Bitcoin, the past is final. The future is predictable. I know how many hashes are going to be on my machine for the next 24 hours. I know how much money it'll generate. Entropy is being reversed through consensus. So as opposed to going from order to disorder, we're bringing order back into the equation. So what does it mean to say Bitcoin is going to the moon? It means to go to the moon is to escape gravity, not just literal, but economic gravity, to break free from the weight of debt, of corruption, of surveillance, of decay. See, fiat is heavy, it sinks. Bitcoin ascends, not because of the hype, but because it can be stopped. It's not that Bitcoin is actually going to the moon. What's happening is everything else is falling down back to the earth. Gravity. And as the dollar keeps burning in the furnace of inflation, and the Europeans are killing the euro through their incompetence, Bitcoin is becoming that ark, right? That ark, that Noah's Ark. So perhaps there is an unseen hand that is guiding us, that is leading us to be on this Bitcoin path where Bitcoin is not just a currency, it's a completely new game. It's the new physics of economics. And frankly, that changes everything. It changes how we store what? Oh, not money, trust. How do we store trust? How do we measure energy? How do we convert energy into money? How do we treat time itself? And how do we reward efforts? In a world where the AIs are going to think, the machines are going to build, biology itself is bending. We got half human, half machines starting to come on board at this point. And certainly you got these robots which look more and more like humans, doing more human things. The only anchor we have in this digital storm, in all of these forces coming together, is the money, is the digital money. Because if we lose control of money, we actually lose control of choice. And when choice dies, so does man, so does mankind, humankind. So Bitcoin is the first money, in my opinion, that actually serves the many, not the few. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Bitcoin matters a whole lot more than you think. Now I'm going to take you a little bit more into that rabbit hole of crazy talk. Today is my day for crazy talk. You see, I like to read stuff, and I've been reading some really interesting stuff. It's in the field of consciousness. See, there's an idea being whispered in the halls of something called noetic sciences. Noetic, N-O-E-T-I-C, noetic sciences. That human thought is real. And that consciousness, when focused and collected, it can actually alter matter, probability, and reality itself. You see, in Princeton Global Consciousness Project, I started reading about that one. It showed that during the events of 9/11, during the events of that, when that tsunami hit in Thailand, terrible destruction, when mass meditations happened, 30,000 Buddhist monks sat down and prayed for peace. The random number generators around the world shifted from chaos to coherence. Crazy. Shouldn't happen. Patterns emerged where none should exist. That's real science. I mean, random numbers generate random numbers. But when these kind of events are happening, the random number generators are generating numbers that are no longer random. We're bringing the world from a place of incoherence into coherence. Something unseen, unknown is responding. Or perhaps we are responding to something that we can't yet measure. Now apply that to Bitcoin. So I read this thing about noetic sciences where the thought affects your reality. Now that's been talked about all kinds of, religions, Napoleon, think and get rich. Thought is important. How does that apply to Bitcoin? What happens when millions of people start to believe in immutable truth that cannot be changed? When millions of minds across continents fixate on the same idea, money without masters. That's not adoption. That's not just adoption going from 3% to 93%. You see all these nice charts and curves all over X and all over the... Oh no, folks. That's manifestation. You see, if millions of people start to think about money without a master, that I hold the key, I hold the value, this thing is getting real now. This thing is going to the moon. not because of all the technical analysts showing you little curves and charts, not because the straddles and the bull calls on the options contract look a certain way, not because there are more and more miners building out mining equipment across the world, which is nice and good, but because in the human mind, in the human consciousness, it's seeping in that we don't want to be slaves. We want to be sovereign. That our money should not have a master. That's not mass adoption, folks. We're going to manifest this into being. You see, there's a fellow called Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote this book called The Tipping Point. And, Carl Jung called it collective unconsciousness. Whatever name you want to give it, the phenomenon is the same. When enough minds focus on one idea, the universe shifts, culture bends, reality pivots. And with Bitcoin, I'm feeling that point of no return is approaching, that critical mass. When you have a nuclear bomb, you got all the uranium and the thorium and the plutonium in that 235, uranium 235. You can't have just a little bit of it. When it gets to a certain mass, the thing just explodes. It's called critical mass. You hit it with a proton, blast it, and the nuclear reaction starts to happen. But if it's tiny, it doesn't happen. When you send a rocket, it has to have that critical mass to go through escape velocity. So what we're looking at Bitcoin right now is critical mass. We're looking at escape velocity. We're looking at million minds thinking that Bitcoin is real. That's what makes it real. See, when millions of people decide that these digital numbers going through wires and servers is real, it becomes real. Its ledger is no longer just a record. It's a memory field, a historical marvel, the nervous system of humanity itself. It's a clock that you can bend the time. It's a mirror of who we are, truthfully. And it's a judgment. You see, these thoughts and these words that we say matter. Each one of you at the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, if you go and say these words, right, to 10 more people, very quickly, we're going to have those millions of people saying, I want sovereign money. I want money without masters. I want money that I can hold and not have to hand over that value to somebody else to look after. I don't need that bank to look after my money, my work, my wealth creation. In the Bible, God spoke the universe into being. In the Indian Vedas, the word Om vibrated apparently as the primordial sound that breathed planets and stars into existence. In modern physics, we call it the Big Bang Theory or information. In a courtroom, a sentence can change a life. These are words. These are words that are spoken. In programming, little words breathe life into an entire economy. So understand that Bitcoin began with words, a white paper 9 pages long. That was the psalm for the new millennium. What were the words that Satoshi Nakamoto typed in? He said, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash. This was not just a line in a white paper. This was a spell. It was cast. Every time you speak Bitcoin, every time you go use Bitcoin, every time you tell someone about Bitcoin, you're propagating a frequency, the same frequency that Tesla is talking about. Every time you share an idea, you're echoing a vibration. And those echoes are now starting to reach critical amplitude. See, this is not a thought experiment anymore. This is not Satoshi's experiment anymore. We, you and I, are becoming the pallbearers of this digital asset with a fixed supply and decentralized trust. And this, what we have today, is bending. It's bending the structure of finance. It's bending the way government works. It's bending the notion of time itself. It's no longer code. It has become. It is here. Our thoughts, our action, our ledger. Bitcoin is alive. The capital B and the little b. You all know the difference, right? Bitcoin, the network, Bitcoin, the coin, right? It is alive. Just in the same way that myths are alive, in the way that God becomes real through belief. Physics says that energy decays. That's what it does. But Bitcoin says, nope, not if enough people believe in the truth ledger. This is really important. When you think about Bitcoin, you are actually already a node in the Bitcoin network, simply by thinking about it. And the more people that think about it, the more powerful the force field is for that ledger. Now, look at the idea that is being proposed here. As radical as it might sound, maybe in 10 years you'll say, that Jay guy was right on this. See, I believe each one of our consciousness is connected to code. I believe that your choices today are being recorded on chain, like the Akashic records. It's the truth ledger. It's your energy that you're putting in, my energy, the energy I'm putting in right now in sharing this with you is being transmuted into value. This is not a transaction. It's not just a ritual. It's the way we live, the way we think, the way we meditate on Bitcoin, on its sovereignty, on its truth, on its resistance. It has to become our modern day prayer, where the altar is digital and the sacrament is self-ownership. Self-ownership. That's what it's about. See, when Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Energy, frequency, vibration. Isn't Bitcoin all three of those? We convert energy into trust. The information is solidified in time. You can't change it. The vibration is amplified into a collective awakening. And in this alchemy, in this primordial soup that we are living, no different from 14 billion years ago when the Big Bang happened, humans are evolving. We are becoming gods not over others, but over ourselves. So this is what I believe, and I'm going to close out after this. We are at this moment in time where every citizen, where every person has the power to rule over their own lives. When entropy overtakes structure, when truth can be stored in a ledger which will not die, which does not decay with time. Bitcoin is not just our escape from economic tyranny. It is really our ark in the storm. It's the womb of this new humanity from which will emerge a society that transcends borders, it transcends banks, it transcends bloodlines. Because if we are to become something more as a human race, to rise again in our own apotheosis as gods, we have to anchor ourselves in our consciousness, our effort, our time, our truth, into something that is incorruptible. And Bitcoin is the first system, may not be the only one, but is the first system that honors that sacred weight. When history is written and you can't change it, it's a mirror. I'm forced to look at it. It's a memory. And it's a moment. And at the end, it is not Bitcoin that will ascend. It is us that will ascend. So have an absolutely fabulous day. Now that I've messed up your heads for the rest of the day with my Bitcoin music. Have a wonderful day, folks. God bless you, and God bless America.
We call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. If you have this.
Ever wondered how safe your online activities really are? How secure is your digital footprint? In the vast realm of the internet, privacy and security are paramount. Without adequate protection, your personal data might be at risk. There are solutions to these issues, and today we're going to talk about two of them. Introducing Liberty laptops from CALIX Solutions. These cutting-edge devices are meticulously designed to bolster online privacy, providing you the liberty to surf the internet incognito. The World Wide Web can be a wild frontier, but with Liberty laptops, your online privacy is always protected. We also present you crypto laptops, designed with cryptocurrency users in mind. Equipped to support a myriad of wallets and exchanges, these laptops are tailored for seamless cryptocurrency transactions. They offer enhanced security protocols to keep your digital assets safe. Crypto laptops ensures a secure and smooth cryptocurrency experience. It's time to take control of your online privacy and security. Venture over to CALIX Solutions and explore our Liberty laptops and crypto laptops. Don't forget, our affiliate program lets you earn $50 per sale. Visit calixsolutions.io now or call 7028458276 for more information, because your online safety is our priority.